Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Open Modular Turrets. And on to Tier 3, tier turret bases. They store up to 150,000 max RF, plus, of course, the 500 max IO for open computers. But up to 2 add-ons and 1 upgrade, same as before. Same with Tier 4 as well. And it just changes in the amount of RF and IO that you can increase for the bases. But the weapons that are in here are going to be the grenade launcher and the relativistic turret. Now, the relativistic turret is a bit strange, but that's because most people don't understand how it works. It's very expensive to use, 5,000 RF per use, every time that it casts or uses its ability. And it cannot cast on the same creature twice until its effect has worn off on that creature. So in this case, this zombie here is pretty much harmless because he has weakness 6 and slowness 6 for about 10 seconds when it affects it. That's what this does, the relativistic turret. So he can't do any damage. Now his effect will wear off and he'll have about 1 second where he can actually move and attack, but that's about it. So you'll see there, wore off and it's back on again. So it's really, really good for that kind of stuff. If you have a few targets that you need slowed, stopped, or otherwise just removed from doing any damage to you, the relativistic turret is going to be really, really good choice. Next up, we move on to the grenade launcher, which I'm going to leave the relativistic turret in place just so it's going to keep this guy still. Now, this one here uses a grenade, which is going to be a little more expensive for a half a stack. And of course, the relativistic turret doesn't use any ammunition because it's just RF. Doesn't do any damage either. It just slows and weakens the target. The grenade launcher, it's going to attack in an area. It does a lot more damage. It also costs a lot more RF per shot, 3,000, and it shoots at a decent rate. It's kind of a mixture of the Tier 2 weapons together because it also will shoot up to a range of 20. So it is a little bit of an upgrade, but it's on a fuse. So if I turn this on, yes, you see it shot that at him, and it drops down, and it takes a moment for it to blow up. So that is the problem with grenades, is that it launches them out, and then they go off after so long of a time. So that's just something to keep in mind with the grenade launcher turret. It does have an area of effect of 3 radius, which means it'll shoot in a 6 block area. So therefore it does have a bit of a combination of the previous stuff with area of effect, good range, as well as a little bit faster of a shot than some things, but it is kind of iffy. It's very specific use. All right, allow me to demonstrate this on a larger group. Turn this on. It's going to launch this out here and slowly destroy the zombies as they're killed. It does have a slight radius decrease though, so with its fuse effect, it's just going to take a bit longer for it to actually kill these guys. So if I were to suggest any of the turrets, I would actually recommend to stay away from this one. Next, we go into Tier 4, which is going to be a really nice step up. The weaponry in this one is a little more interesting and creative. There is the rocket launcher, as well as the teleporter turret. Now, these ones here, as before with the base, it does 2 add-ons, plus you can have one upgrade on there. The range for the rocket launcher is 30. And the teleporter is 20. Now, of course, they're rather expensive. This one's 5,000 RF per shot. This one is 15,000 per shot. But it can be very useful as before. So remember, you don't have to have these things always firing, but you know, if they are, then that's definitely going to make sure to kill things. How this works is it's got a lot of damage. It also does a good area of effect, 5 radius, which means a 10 block diameter that it's going to destroy your enemy. And the teleporter turret will actually keep those from escaping. Now let me turn on this one here so you can see just how effective it is at destroying your foes. Aimed there. There you go. It's hitting them this time. And 3 shots. Now if any of these guys escape, let's say I've got a guy over here around the corner. He's not able to be picked off by this rocket turret. That's what this turret here is for. You configure this one here, and teleporter turret. It's going to grab any mobs that are within a certain distance. Well, within reason. I think it's going to have to actually see the mob as well. There we go. And teleport them over to this spot. so that it can be destroyed by other nearby turrets. Now there is a minimum range for some of these turrets, so if something is like right on top of it, it might not get shot. Like that, it took a second for him to actually step off of that before the missile launcher actually took him out. But now you can see 15,000. It's an automatic teleportation device that you can actually target on players as well as mobs. You can have them dropped over pits, do all sorts of interesting and nasty things with this one. Now that I've taken you through the first 4 tiers, let's get into tier 5. And this is where we talk about the laser turret as well as the railgun turret. So let's start with the laser turret here. Tier 5 base gives you 10 million RF max storage in here, which is a lot. Plus, you have your 5,000 max IO for open computers. And it has 2 add-ons and 2 upgrade slots, which is excellent because that once again, I'm going to get to that at the end, is amazing. That's where the stuff is done. Now, 1 heart of damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It used up a lot of energy. It actually uses, 10,000 RF per shot and shoots 2 shots per second. Very high accuracy, but it sounds like a lot here. So it's like, well, what the heck is the idea? Well, let me show you why. You saw how far away that guy was? It's got a range of 25, so it's already doing pretty good. Let me turn this thing off and on, and it will slowly pick through these guys one at a time. You can see it's actually got a little bit of a penetration like some of the other ones. It also sets the targets on fire, but it's constant. There's no need for ammunition. It's just energy. Just RF is used in this, so that is the big advantage. If you have enough energy to power one of these things, you'll never have a need for ammunition again. All right, next up we have the Railgun Turret. This one here holds a special place in my heart. It's designed to destroy single targets with utmost authority. It's basically doing a lot of damage, 12.5 hearts of damage, as opposed to 1 with the laser turret. But then again, that one, like I said, never needs the ammunition. This one shoots very slowly, 0.2 shots a second, so you're going to have to wait like several seconds before it'll shoot again. But it uses ferromagnetic slugs, which are a little bit expensive. I mean, especially with flint in here. I mean, you think of all the gravel you'd have to dig up. But you get the idea. 16 of these shots. But that's potentially 16 one-shot kills, depending on how you equip this thing. So it has a range of 30, which is tremendous. Turn this on. Oh, yeah, quite effective. Now that I guess the creeper was close enough. So there you go. That's really effective stuff. Has no area of effect, but it does have a penetrating effect like most of the other weapons. So let me launch a little bit of a zombie invasion, and you can see it will slowly work through these guys. It might take out a couple at a time with something, but it really is only going to just kill 1 at a time, maybe 2. All right, that's enough of that. So let me show you some of the different add-ons and upgrades. Now, there are some that I'm not going to be covering. That's going to be the serial port, which enables open computers and computer craft compatibility, as well as the Potentia converter for Thaumcraft compatibility. I'm not going to be covering those because they're not used. But with this, you can do quite a bit of stuff. Each gun is going to better benefit or worse benefit from different add-ons and upgrades. Let's start off with the upgrades because there are fewer of those. Scattershot. So this is a very poor example of one to use. It is a single target killer. Scattershot would make it act like a shotgun, and therefore it would waste a lot of ammunition on a single target. Same thing with the laser turret. You have a lot of things that are going to potentially be shot. It could spread some fire, but where you really want to use something that has area of effect damage, like a grenade launcher, like a missile launcher, like an incendiary turret. That's right. So you put up to 4 of these in each slot. Let me grab Scattershot. Put that in there. We've got 4 of them in there. And when I launch our zombie friends, let me turn this back on. It will actually do considerable amount of damage. Now, that guy did almost get away, but you saw that they were killed very quickly, much quicker than if it were normally shooting 1 at a time. Reason for that is that every one of those pellets that it shoots gets an area of effect damage. So effectively, if it's hitting 5 zombies with 1 shot, or 5 shots, that's 5 times 5. So it's doing 25 times the damage. It is really, really effective. So anything with an area of effect might be worth adding in a scattershot effect for. Now something like range. That might also be very useful. This will change its range. In this case, its range is currently 12. If I put this in here, it will benefit going all the way up to 20. So every 4 upgrades that I can add in will give it an extra 8 range. Now that's not going to actually stay that high. It will actually lock in at 12, even though I took that upgrade out. But if you have something like a tier 5 turret, you can put in multiple ranges and give it an extra 16 blocks distance, making it all-powerful and all-seeing for quite a good distance. Let's actually turn this on, and it should pick off anything that gets anywhere near us at this point. All right, next up we have fire rate. This is tremendous. Something like a Railgun Turret can really benefit from this, but so can the gun turret as well. So if I max this out with 2 levels of it, you'll see how great of a difference. Actually, let me take this out, turn it on, start it up. We will actually launch ourselves a little zombie invasion once again, and it will slowly start picking them off, right? Well, if I add in a whole bunch of fire rate upgrades, it suddenly becomes a murdering machine. So it quickly will take out them, especially with the amount of damage that it can do. It's a beast. And last but not least, the item that you're really going to want to put in any energy-based ones is not going to be a fire rate. You're going to want to put in efficiency, which is going to reduce the cost by 8% of your RF per shot. So if I put in a double upgrade slot, that's going to be a considerable reduction. That's 64% reduction in cost per shot, especially for laser turrets. That's going to reduce it from 10,000 down to like 3,800, I believe it is, something, 3,000 something. But it's reducing the cost considerably. You're also going to want to consider it something for a relativistic turret, as well as your teleporter turrets. You put these in there and you're definitely going to reduce the costs a lot, because they don't have any ammunition requirements, just energy requirements. And that's what those are really designed for. Now that we've discussed the different upgrade types, the add-ons are what are next important. Now, if you have something that is really basic, I'm going to say a level 2 turret, perhaps, like an incendiary or a gun, or even a whole bunch of disposable item turrets on a level 2 turret base, you probably want to use a solar panel. This is going to keep it running quite well. 10 RF per tick in sunlight, and you can only put one of those on a base. Even if you have 2 slots, you put a second one on here, it's not going to actually increase any faster. It will display a little solar panel on top of every turret that is attached to it, which is pretty neat. And it's usually more than enough to take care of any level or tier 1 or tier 2 power requirements during the day, at least. If you're having an extended attack like during a blood moon or something, you might want to consider alternate power means, which leads me to Redstone Reactor. Now, if I put a Redstone Reactor in here, you can only have one of those, because if you put a second one in here, nothing will happen. But if you put it in here and you start giving it a whole bunch of redstone, pop that in there and it will start slowly consuming the redstone, as you see here, and the energy is going up. It will give you 1550 RF per redstone dust in the inventory. So that can be very beneficial indeed. Now, there's other things that you can do to conserve ammunition. Let's say that something is just too expensive. You could put in up to 2 of these recycler add-ons. And what these do is give you a 10% chance of negating the use of ammunition and a 10% chance of generating ammunition per add-on that you put in. So you can put in a couple of those and see if you can increase your chances of potentially reducing your ammunition costs overall. And my favorite is going to be the turret concealer and the damage boost. Now, damage boost is really going to be effective in something like an incendiary turret, which for when it's shotgunned up, let's add in some, not fire rate, we want the scatter shot. So I've got maximum damage boost. It adds a percentage of the maximum hit points of the target as damage per projectile. And then I also increase the number of projectiles, which then also cover an area of effect, which is really, really sick. So let me, it's currently on, so let's just turn it back to night so these guys don't burn involuntarily. Launch them in place and, oh, what was that? They're dead? I can't spawn them fast enough. It's ridiculous. They are just dying in one volley of this altogether, because all the extra damage plus the scattershot effect you can see how these things can really stack up to be super intense. And this is just a tier 2 turret with a tier 2 turret, or a tier 2 turret base with a tier 2 turret on it. Just a whole bunch of add-ons as well. Now if I also add something like, well, we've got the fire rate increases. If I add in the damage boost on top with this Railgun Turret, plonk down a whole bunch of ancient golems, even them with their 20 hearts and a little bit of armor as well, can really be, well, destroyed quickly. As you can see, one shot, one kill, and they each have 20 hearts. I mean, this thing's doing a ton of damage super fast. So you, with the right upgrades, you can just wreck house. And here's a little something that most overlook, and that is especially if you're playing PvP. If you don't want people to see that you have turrets, they're pretty obvious, really. I mean, people see these things, they're like, oh, I'm not coming in that side. I'm going to go around the outside, or I'm going to come up underneath their base, or something of that nature. Well, if you have a block that is fairly vanilla, you can right-click it on your turret base of any style size. You right-click it, it should turn it into the block of that type. Now you're thinking, all right, well, I can still see the guns. That's not doing me any good. Well, if that's really messing you up, then you just want to right-click it. Now, if you don't like the block that you chose, you chose like something that it shouldn't have been. Let's see if I even have anything on here. Let's choose a bit of redstone. There you go. Oh, crap, that stands out. That wasn't what I wanted. I want it back to normal. You just shift right-click and it'll go back to normal. And then you could choose what you would like. Or you could just right-click over it. But anyway, that aside, let's see what we can do here. We add in the turret concealer. Put that in the add-on slot, and any turrets attached to it will retract into the turret base and will pop back out when they're needed. So if I configure this, say yes, you can see that it's just going to shoot this guy. It popped out, and then when it's done, it retracts. Any and all turrets that you attach to it when it has a turret concealer will therefore disappear. And it's very hard to see them. Obviously, if you have some kind of thing like the one probe that I have in the top left corner that tells you what things are, then it may identify it if they're close enough. But hey, first they got to get close enough. So there you go. And I think that's about it for this bit by bit today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, spread the mischief to others if you think that they'll enjoy this content as well. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.